Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and share it with your friends so we can keep creating more content. The Chernobyl disaster, which occurred on April 26, 1986, at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, is one of the most catastrophic nuclear accidents in history. The tragedy unfolded during a planned safety test designed to simulate a power outage and evaluate how the reactor would respond. However, a combination of flaws in the RBMK reactor's design and human error led to an uncontrollable overheating of the core, resulting in a catastrophic explosion. The explosion destroyed the reactor structure and released a massive amount of radioactive material into the atmosphere, including dangerous isotopes such as iodine-131, cesium-137, and strontium-90. These highly radioactive elements spread not only across Ukraine, but also over significant parts of Europe, directly affecting countries like Belarus, Russia, Sweden, and even reaching the United Kingdom and France. The environmental impact was so severe that entire areas became uninhabitable, creating the Chernobyl exclusion zone, which remains to this day. In the immediate aftermath of the explosion, the Soviet government was slow to react and marked by secrecy. In Pripyat, a city located just a few kilometers from the power plant, housing workers and their families, people continued their daily routines, unaware of the severity of the situation. It was only 36 hours after the incident that authorities began evacuating the approximately 49,000 residents, stating it would be temporary. However, the evacuation became permanent, and Pripyat turned into a ghost town. The Soviet government initially tried to downplay the extent of the accident. The explosion and the subsequent radioactive leak were kept from the world until a nuclear power plant in Sweden detected abnormal radiation levels, forcing the Soviets to admit that something had occurred. Even then, the response was disorganized and slow, exposing thousands of people to high levels of radiation. To contain the disaster, the Soviet Union mobilized an army of workers, known as liquidators, including firefighters, soldiers, miners, and other volunteers. In total, about 600,000 people participated in efforts to extinguish fires, build a concrete structure over the damaged reactor, the sarcophagus, and decontaminate the area. However, many of these workers received little or no adequate protection, resulting in severe health complications such as cancer and radiation-related illnesses. Many died shortly after, while others continue to suffer the consequences today. The health effects of the Chernobyl accident are still felt today. Exposure to iodine-131, for instance, led to a significant increase in thyroid cancer cases, particularly among children and adolescents living in the most affected regions. Epidemiological studies estimate that thousands of people have suffered and continue to suffer from radiation-induced illnesses. Some estimates suggest that the total number of deaths directly or indirectly related to the disaster could reach tens of thousands, although these numbers remain controversial due to difficulties in measuring the effects of prolonged radiation exposure. In the long term, the area around Chernobyl has transformed into an unusual ecosystem. The exclusion zone, which encompasses a 30-kilometer radius around the plant, has become an unexpected sanctuary for wildlife. Wolves, bears, wild horses, and other species have thrived in the absence of humans, and scientists study how these animals are affected by radiation. The post-apocalyptic landscape, with abandoned buildings and vegetation overtaking structures, has become a visual symbol of the disaster and nature's resilience. The economic and social impact of Chernobyl was also profound. Besides the human losses, the disaster had a massive economic impact, estimated at hundreds of billions of dollars over the decades, due to evacuation, decontamination, public health costs, and compensation. The tragedy significantly contributed to public distrust in nuclear energy and was one of the factors that led to changes in energy policies in several countries, which began adopting stricter regulations or decommissioning their nuclear plants. In 2016, a new containment structure called the New Safe Confinement was completed, covering the old damaged reactor. This monumental structure was designed to last at least 100 years, ensuring that the remaining radioactive material does not escape into the environment. However, even with this structure, the complete decontamination and removal of radioactive material will still take centuries. Today, Chernobyl has become a destination for dark tourism, attracting visitors curious to explore the exclusion zone. Although radiation remains present, safe levels allow guided tours in limited parts of the area. Interest in the tragedy surged, especially after the release of series and documentaries detailing the events of the disaster and its effects. Chernobyl is not just a historical marker, but a reminder of the importance of rigorous safety measures and transparency in crisis management. The lessons learned continue to influence nuclear policy and safety practices worldwide, highlighting the need to respect the power and risks of nuclear technology.